Franklin Delano Roosevelt, do solemnly swear.
I, Dwight D. Eisenhower, do solemnly swear.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution.
The Constitution of the United States. So help me God.
Would it bother you if our United States president was born in Africa or even Israel? Or what if our United States president was born in Germany? Would it bother you? Well, thank you for joining me on Contemplating the Constitution. I'm Mark David Smith. Last time we met, I gave you my research on the executive branch of the United States government in the Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, Clause 4. This week, we continue our research with Article 2, Section 1, Clause 5, which reads, "No person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of President. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States." All presidents from Martin Van Buren on were born in the United States before the Declaration of Independence. The principal issue with regard to the qualifications of the President of the United States set out in this clause is whether a child born abroad of American parents is a natural-born citizen in the sense of this clause. Such a child is a citizen as a consequence of statute. Whatever the term natural born means, it no doubt does not include a person who is naturalized. Thus, the answer to the question might be seen to turn on the interpretation of the first sentence of the first section of the 14th Amendment, providing that all persons born or naturalized as in the United States are citizens. Significantly, however, Congress, in which a number of Constitution framers sat, provided in the Naturalization Act of 1790 that the children of citizens of the United States that may be born beyond the sea shall be considered as natural-born citizens. This phrasing followed the literal terms of British statutes whose parents were both born British subjects would enjoy the same rights of inheritance as those born in England. Beginning with laws in 1709 and 1731, these statutes expressly provided that such persons were natural-born subjects of the crown. There is reason to believe that the phrase includes persons who become citizens at birth by statute because of their status in being born abroad of American citizens. Whether the Supreme Court would decide the issue, should it ever arise in a case or controversy, as well as how it might decide it, can only be speculated. What I'm about to read is an actual document written in 1833 about Article 2, Section 1, Clause 5. It's from the Commentaries on the Constitution of the United States by Joseph Story of Boston, Massachusetts, 1833. It is from the Founders' Constitution, Volume 3, Article 2, Section 1, Clause 5, Document 2. Considering the nature of the duties, the extent of the information, and the solid wisdom and experience required in the executive department, no one can reasonably doubt the propriety of some qualification of age. That which has been selected is the middle age of life, by which period the character and talents of individuals are generally known and fully developed, and opportunities have usually been afforded for public service and for experience in the public councils. The facilities of the mind, if they have not then attained to their highest maturity, are in full vigor and hastening towards their ripest state. Remember, written in 1833. The judgment acting upon large materials has, by that time, attained a solid cast, and the principles which form the character and the integrity which gives luster to the virtues of life must then, if ever, have acquired public confidence and approbation. It is indispensable, too, that the president should be a natural born citizen of the United States, or a citizen at the adoption of the Constitution in the 14 years before his election. This permission of a naturalized citizen to become president is an exception from the great fundamental policy of all governments to exclude foreign influence from their executive councils and duties. It was doubtless introduced out of respect to those distinguished revolutionary patriots who were born in a foreign land and yet had entitled themselves to high honors in their adopted country. A positive exclusion of them from the office would have been unjust to their merits and painful to their sensibilities. Once again, remember, this is written by Joseph Story in 1833 about the article section clause we're working on. But the general propriety of the exclusion of foreigners in common cases will scarcely be doubted by any sound statesman. It cuts off all chances for ambitious foreigners who might otherwise be intriguing for the office, and interposes a barrier against those corrupt interferences of foreign governments in executive elections, which have inflicted the most serious evils upon the elective monarchies of Europe. Germany, Poland, and even the Pontificate of Rome are sad but instructive examples of the enduring mischiefs arising from this source. A resident of 14 years in the United States is also made an indispensable requisite for every candidate, so that the people may have a full opportunity to know his character and merits, and that he may have mingled in the duties and felt the interest and understood the principles and nourished the attachments belonging to every citizen in a republican government. By residence in the Constitution, it is to be understood not an absolute inhabitancy within the United States during the whole period, but such an inhabitancy as includes a permanent domicile in the United States. No one is supposed that a temporary absence abroad on public business, and especially on an embassy to a foreign nation, would interrupt the residence of a citizen so as to disqualify him or her from office. If the word were to be construed with such strictness, then a mere journey through any foreign adjacent territory for health or for pleasure or for a commorancy there for a single day would amount to a disqualification. Under such a construction, a military or civil officer who should have been in Canada during the late war on public business would have lost his eligibility. The true sense of residence in the Constitution is fixed domicile, or being out of the United States, and settled abroad for the purpose of general inhabitancy, and not for a mere temporary and fugitive purpose. It is an actual document written in 1833. This, what I just read, is an actual document written in 1833 about Article 2, Section 1, Clause 5. It tells of the mood of the delegates at the time, considering the previous residency of any person running for the office of the President of the United States. It is from Commentaries on the Constitution of the United States, written by Joseph Story of Boston, Massachusetts in 1833. It is from the Founders' Constitution, Volume 3, Article 2, Section 1, Clause 5, Document 2. You were wondering about that, weren't you? Today, there are 3 minimum requirements to be elected president. One must be a natural-born citizen of the United States, must have lived in the United States for at least 14 years, and must be at least 35 years old. Although Article 2, Section 1 originally provided who should become president if the president dies, resigns, or is removed from office, the president shall, at stated times, receive for his services a compensation, which shall neither be increased or decreased during the period for which he shall have been elected, and he shall not receive within the period any other emoluments from the United States or any of them. The president's salary is set by Congress to avoid allowing Congress to punish or reward the president while he or she is in office. That's interesting. The Constitution prohibits any change in salary during the president's term. The president also is prohibited from receiving any other type of compensation or perks while in office. Before assuming office, the president must swear or affirm to do his or her best to serve as the nation's leader and to uphold the United States Constitution as the law of the land. Before he enters on the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Some of my research comes from Constitution Annotated and some from the Founders' Constitution. You can find links to all my research on www.messianiclamnetwork.com. Thank you for joining, and please use the Messianic Lamb Network website for all your Messianic media needs. There are over 1,500 Messianic videos at the Lamb Network website. Messianic media for the Messianic lifestyle at www.messianiclamnetwork.com. I'm Mark David Smith, and I'm your host for the Lamb Network original show, Contemplating the Constitution. Starting next week, Contemplating the Constitution will be on a new night and time, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right before John and Sandy's Walking in Spirit and Truth show. Coming up immediately following this show is the Uncensored Lamb original show, Our Constitution in the News. If you're on YouTube, the link to the show is in the comments of the next banner on the upcoming shows list there on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, go to MessianicLambNetwork.com website. If you're on the Lamb website, the show player is on the top of the homepage. Our Constitution in the News, next on the Messianic Lamb Network. Thank you for joining me.
I, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, do solemnly swear
I, Dwight D. Eisenhower, do solemnly swear
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States. So help me God.